The Psyche of Success, the video blog that helps you reach the next level. Education, entertainment, and motivation to help you and your team succeed in business and in life. Subscribe, share, and learn. Welcome to the Psyche of Success with your host, Jody Holland.
Hey guys, Jody Holland here with the Psyche of Success. I have Kaler Harper with me as my guest. This is going to be a fantastic episode. We're going to be talking about how you help young people find success, what the definition of success is for her, and how we kind of pull all of that together, kind of the development from young person being driven for success to adult who believes in owning their own responsibility. So, Kaler, if you will, just tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Absolutely. So I am the Development and Admissions Director at St Andrews Episcopal School. And so I help with all of the fundraising elements and helping kiddos recognize when it is, kiddos and families really recognize when it is that they need a change in their educational journey. And like you said, success and what that means for them.
You know, it's crazy to think about when you're a young person. You don't know the definition of success, really. You know that failure is the inability to meet your goals, but you're kind of defining what you want to be like as you grow up. And I think back to even my high school experience and junior high. I didn't really struggle with school. I always thought school was pretty easy. So I'd probably make a horrible teacher from that perspective. But you think about when I was in school, I was just like, God, I really wish that there was a challenge for me, because I spent most of my time really just not having to do anything. My senior year, they made you go till lunch, but I had enough credits to graduate before I started.
Sure.
And so when my kids were sixth grade, we allowed them to choose, do you want to go to public school or private school? And the private school offered a much better challenge for them. Particularly for my younger child, who really, she would finish everything for an entire 6 weeks in the first week and then just read books for 5 weeks. And so the private school offered her so much more opportunity to grow and advance and be ready for what life would challenge her with. So how old are kids when they can start at St. Andrews?
So we actually start with our primer program. We introduced pre-primer this year, and so those are for those, I guess they'd be younger three. So if they turn 3 between September 1st and January 1st, then they can start a half-day program with us. And they're being exposed to Spanish and religion, so they are starting to see some of those enrichment classes as early as 3 years old. That program, we run all the way until 8th grade. And then usually the students who graduate from St. Andrews, they can choose, to go wherever they'd like, but most of them do enter the public school system. But we do have some that go to Ascension. We do have some that will go to boarding schools and out of the state. So it really just depends on what their family has in mind for their children and kind of where their success at St. Andrews takes them after that.
That's pretty awesome. I know that just looking at what that did for my children when they went to college, a lot of us, we really struggle because you're learning so differently in college than you do in public school. You're expected to think for yourself, whereas a lot of times in your primary school, you're not taught to think, you're taught to just give information back. And that's what, to me, the biggest thing that they got was they knew how to think critically, therefore they knew how to solve problems, therefore they were prepared for college, but they're also prepared for life. Psychologically, Dr. Massey talks about the 3 stages of development, 0 to 6 being the first stage, and that's your personality. It's known as imprinting. From 7 to 13, that's known as modeling, and you learn your values and your beliefs. So being exposed to religion classes and being exposed to the things that you guys offer allows for the development of values based on what parents would like their kids to be like. And it really surrounds them with that right morality and that right mentality. And then the third stage, that 14 to 22, that's socialization, and that allows for kids to learn critical thinking, problem solving, decision making, all of those kinds of things. So you think about all of that with what St. Andrews offers and what you offer in development. If you were going to define success, how would you define it?
Well, I think success looks different for everyone. And that is one of the main reasons I fell in love with working at St. Andrews, is that success is not black and white, and it's not a one size fits all.
Right.
And so that's kind of how I look at success for myself personally. But then when I'm interviewing families to come to St. Andrews, it's, where does your child see themselves in the future? What do they define as success? And because there's so many different areas at St. Andrews where our students can experience success.
Yeah.
It's really fulfilling to see that not every child thinks of success as the same.
Right.
And that's kind of how I live my life professionally and personally. Is just, for me, success is just any positive growth toward my goals.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you think about how frustrated people get with the idea of failing or winning, and we define that we've only won if we've won everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the idea that any positive growth, any forward momentum is success, because you're not who you were yesterday and you've moved yourself forward.
Right.
So I think that's awesome. Great definition.
Thanks.
Next question I've got for you is, who has inspired you, and maybe what's something that they've taught you throughout your life?
So I'm going to give the cliche answer. Go with my mom.
That's not cliche. I think that's great.
She was a single mom of 2 and just worked her tail off to provide for us. We never once felt like we were struggling, even though we may have been at one point.
Mm-hmm.
We always had really nice clothes. She always made sure that we were doing well in school. She was very present in our lives. And then as we got older, she was never satisfied with just the bare minimum. And so she worked at the county judge's office in Vega, and then she took on other roles as she had time. And then she actually inspired me to start my MBA program online.
Fantastic.
And so I just started that in November, but it had a lot to do with her and her drive. She went back to school when we were in college, and just seeing how driven she was, and any conversation that I had where I told her, I'm struggling, I'm a college student, she goes, suck it up. If I can do it, work full time, be a mom, and go to school and get it done, then you have no excuse.
I would say there are no excuses when you have a mom that's that driven.
Exactly. So she's taught me a lot, but a lot of it is just to hold myself to a higher standard and just make sure that I'm being true to myself, and that if I want something, I have to work hard to go get it.
So I love the idea, the word you said in there is standard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we live into whatever standard we set for ourselves. And obviously your mom set a high enough standard that no matter what struggle she was facing, she was going to make sure that you guys moved forward, and that you didn't use any excuse to not live at least the best life that you possibly could.
Right. Absolutely.
So what's your MBA? Is there a focus area in that?
No, just a general MBA program.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very cool. A friend of mine got his executive MBA with a marketing focus.
Okay.
Not too long ago, and just loved the experience of it. So hopefully you love it as well. The stats, I think, would kill me, but
oh yeah, I'm a little nervous about it. I just started, so but I definitely think it's better that I started after I've been out of college for a while. If I would have tried to go back to back, it would not have ended well for me. So.
Yeah, I said the same thing. I got out of college, and then it was 20 years before I went back for a master's. Mm-hmm. And that's a really long time. So I did struggle a little bit with the way that you study and the way that you write for college, because I write books, but the way you write books and the way you write research papers are not the same.
Right.
And so it was a bit of a change, but I hear people say, "Oh, I can't do it. There's just no way I could do it." And you think, if I can do it and I'm running a business, you can do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, no excuses. So from kind of looking at the other side of things, when you think about the stresses that you face in life, whether it's related to your job or success, what is it that keeps you up at night?
Okay, so I thought a lot about this. It's not necessarily about my success professionally or personally. I think the biggest thing that keeps me up at night when I have monkey brain and it's everywhere is just I have new ideas flowing all the time. And I think it's just to improve the systems that have been put in place at my job or with other organizations I'm involved in. And so last night I am dreaming about different ways that we can get programs to reach out to us for Amarillo businesswomen and try to get them to be on board with presenting to our group.
Right.
And then for junior league, how can I make myself better in this certain position? And what if we did this instead of that? And so it's just that way for me all the time. And I do that day in and day out. But it's definitely something that keeps me up at night, and I have to just force myself to turn it off.
So it's kind of the same as you look at your definition of success as moving forward. So what kind of keeps you up at night is not knowing what to do to move forward.
Yes.
So that's pretty awesome. I have the same monkey brain. So I'll give you a little advice on the podcast here.
Okay.
When you're laying down at night, ask yourself the question, what would it feel like if everything was going just right? And then hold on to the feeling. So the idea of letting go of stress at night, our minds are constantly running, and some people's minds run even more than others. But when your mind doesn't shut off, it makes it where you don't sleep as well and you don't sleep as deeply. The feeling portion of your brain, or the limbic center of the brain, when you get the right emotional state, so not angry, not stressed, not anxious, then you go to sleep quickly, you sleep fantastic, you feel more rested. And you can ask yourself a second question if you're trying to solve problems. Just say, as I sleep tonight, the idea of how to improve attracting the right speakers or presenters is going to come to me. Mm-hmm. And so what would it feel like if people were beating on our door wanting to present? And that idea will come to me as I sleep. That way you're planting the idea in your subconscious, and the ideas come to you. So
all right.
A little advice on how to sleep a little bit better.
Okay.
So when you think about advice that you would have for the people who are listening to this podcast, what advice do you have for them about developing the right psychology of success?
I think it's important to remember that there is small success and there's big success. Mm-hmm. So because I am positive growth mindset, I always focus on small goals first.
Yeah.
And so because it's January, let's just use the working out resolution for an example.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unrealistic to say I'm going to hit the gym 7 days a week and lose 100 pounds in a month. It's just not going to happen.
No.
And so you've just got to take smaller steps towards your overall goal. And I think once you experience success with those smaller goals, it's going to push you towards your overall, and it'll just keep you motivated as opposed to shutting it down quickly just because our expectations may be a little bit unrealistic. I think it's just going to help you achieve everything that you want to as long as you're keeping your goals realistic.
I think that's fantastic advice, because so many people do set such unrealistic New Year's resolutions or goals this time of year. If they, like you said, if they just say, okay, I'm going to try to consistently work out, leave off the 100-pound weight loss. When you eat right and you exercise, weight loss is a byproduct. Mm-hmm. And so setting the goal of, I'm going to try to at least 3 days a week go to the gym and work out. Then all of a sudden you start enjoying it, mm-hmm. and you hit the small goal. Therefore, the big goal is automatic.
Absolutely.
So great advice. Well, thank you. If people wanted to find out about their kids going to St. Andrews or more about you, how would they do that?
Absolutely. So we have our website is standrewsschool.org. standrewsschool.org. Mm-hmm. You can find all sorts of information about our school through our website. You can also give us a call if you're interested in setting up tours or just asking more questions about private school in general. We would love to help you out with that. Our phone number is 806-376-9501. And I'd be happy to help you with admissions and anything related to your questions about why should we get our children started as early as 3 years old. Again, private school versus public school. Those are great conversations, and we always love to learn more about our community. And so we invite you to come and visit us and just have a conversation. And come learn more about St. Andrews.
That's perfect. And I will my little plug for St. Andrews. I know a number of the parents that are there as well as their kids. It's a fantastic place to be. I got to speak there a few years ago, and I talked about face reading and how you use your ability to read other people to connect and build relationships. The students were so incredibly well behaved. The teachers, the faculty was fully engaged. A lot of times when I speak at a school, the kids are excited and the teachers are like off on the back on their phones. So your teachers were great. You had parents there that were volunteering. It was a fantastic experience for me just working with you guys. So that's my plug for you guys. Thank you guys for listening to this podcast. Thank you for being here. If you've not subscribed yet, please go do so. Please share this with your friends. Help us get the word out about creating the right psychology of success in every aspect of your life.